What a wild ride in Quiapo! Just when you think things can't get any crazier, a scream rips through the morning crowd. It's absolute chaos. We hear whispers of betrayal roll, Madonna, names that carry a heavy past. You betrayed me once. Can I trust you again? The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Suddenly, the focus shifts. Tanggol's father is in danger, and a desperate plan is hatched. I'll go to the hospital and save Papa. The weight of the world seems to be on Tanggol's shoulders. He's already lost so much, and now his mother's life is on the line. A chilling ultimatum is delivered. Tanggol, Raymond, and the rest of your Gangor your mother's life. It's a choice no one should ever have to make. Old loyalties are tested. We've been together since we were kids. Do you think we'd abandon you now? But in a shocking twist, someone caves. Okay, fine, I'll bring you Tanggol. The plan is dark and ruthless. The villains are planning to punish them slowly before the final blow. They decide to use the Buenaventura feast as a cover. Amidst the lanterns and dancers, it's impossible to tell friend from foe, but the plan goes sideways fast. Hey, what's this? It's a setup. Tanggol and his crew are ambushed. Don't fight back. Just do as they say. The betrayal is complete, and the silence that follows is deafening. In the aftermath, the allies are scattered. Tindenawage panic setting, look at. Their lawyer races to the police station, but they're not there. Where could they be? Just when hope seems lost, Congressman Leo arrives. He brings a grim update. Tindeng went with her captors calmly, a small act of defiance in the face of defeat. The remaining group is torn. Mario wants to run to escape Manila while they still can. He argues that the Guerreros have already won and fighting back is pointless. But just as fear threatens to take over, Marites steps up. Her voice, filled with a quiet strength, cuts through the despair. She acknowledges their fear but calls for them to be strong, to fight for Tanggol and for their future. Congressman Leo agrees. The Guerreros are the root of our fear. That's why we must press on. He reminds them that Tanggol can't fight this battle alone. They need to unite, to show the Guerreros that the people demand justice. The episode ends with a powerful image. Candles are lit, and prayers are whispered to the Holy Nazarene. They're praying for safety, for Tindeng, and especially for Tanggol. This fight is far from over. It's only just begun. What do you think will happen next? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more recaps. You set dress up, Tang Ho Mr. Rigger. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. But Congressman Leo stepped in, his voice calm but his eyes alert. Are you sure everyone is safe? He asked, his focus immediately shifting to their arrested allies. Tindeng and Rhoda were the priority. They needed protection, and fast. The attorney was quick to reassure them. I'll handle their case, he promised, a small comfort in a sea of uncertainty. But Marites knew the danger wasn't just legal. Please guarantee their safety, she begged, her voice trembling slightly. The Guerreros will stop at nothing. The sound of footsteps receded down the hallway, leaving behind a fragile, desperate hope. Marites whispered into her phone, a mantra of gratitude. Yes, okay, then thank you. But that fragile hope began to crumble at the Quiapo police station. There was no sign of Tindeng. Panic surged through the group, a cold wave of dread. Where could they have taken Tindeng and Rhoda? The question hung in the air, unanswered. A voice of reason tried to cut through the fear. Don't lose hope. She's still fighting. Yuk noer. She never backs down. Just then, Congressman Leo arrived, his presence a steadying force for the unraveling group. He brought news, but it was grim. Miss Tess and their other allies had been arrested, all under the direct command of the Guerreros. The net was closing in, and they were caught in the middle. The air crackled with a mix of fear and defiance. Mario, his face a mask of grim determination, broke the heavy silence. "Call our remaining comrades," he declared, his voice ringing with newfound resolve. "Let's bring the fight to the Guerreros." But his call to arms was met with immediate pushback. Fear clashed with his fiery resolve. "Are you sure?" "We can't take them on." "We're outmatched." Another voice chimed in, this one laced with a different kind of urgency. "That's why we came to urge you to leave Manila together." To run, the suggestion was like a lit match in a room full of gasoline. Emotions erupted. Accusations flew. "Look at you two, cowards." One person shouted, "We can't count on you." Another yelled, the sense of betrayal sharp and painful. The group was fracturing, turning on itself when they needed unity the most. Then Marites spoke. Her voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the chaos with a calm, undeniable power. "I know your fear," she began, her eyes meeting each person's, acknowledging their panic. "I know your anxiety. I'm afraid too. I'm so afraid. Especially for Tindang. And above all, for my son, Tanggol." She let that admission sink in, a moment of shared vulnerability. But now, she continued, her voice gaining strength. "Now is the time to be strong. Now is the time for us to unite. If we give in to our fear, if we let it consume us and turn us against each other, then nothing changes. The Guerreros win." Her words hung in the air, a challenge and a call to action. It was a turning point. Fear was still present, but now it was mixed with a glimmer of something else, the will to fight back together. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more recaps. Thanks for watching. Ever wonder what happens when a community, pushed to the brink, finally decides to fight back? In the heart of Quiapo, a city known for its chaos and vibrant life, a different kind of energy is stirring. It's a story of courage, unity, and the incredible power of ordinary people standing together against overwhelming odds. We see Congressman Leo, his face etched with determination, setting the tone. He says, "The Guerreros are the root of our fear. We must press on, fight for our loved ones." His words hang in the air, a call to action. But fear is a powerful enemy. We are Mario, his voice trembling with doubt, voicing the anxieties of many. "Ma'am Tess, Tanggol couldn't stand against them alone. What chance do we have? It's a valid question. Tanggol, a symbol of resistance, is just one man. How can a scattered, frightened populace possibly challenge a force as powerful as the Guerreros? This is where the story turns. Ma'am Tess, a beacon of strength, responds not with false bravado, but with a simple, powerful truth. Yes, Mario, Tanggol can't fight alone. She acknowledges their fear, validating their concerns. But then, she ignites a spark. But if we unite, they'll see citizens demand justice. For our families, for our freedom, we must continue. It's a simple message, but it resonates deeply. It's not about one hero. It's about collective strength. It's the realization that while one person can be broken, a united community is a force to be reckoned with. The scene shifts, and we feel the atmosphere change. Hopeful music begins to swell, a soundtrack to their rising courage. A solemn prayer meeting begins. Let us pray to the Holy Nazarene for safety, and for Tindang, especially for Tanggol. In the flickering glow of countless candles, we see faces once filled with fear now filled with faith. Each whispered prayer, each lit candle is not just a plea for safety. It's a declaration of defiance. In this shared moment of vulnerability, they find an unexpected strength. Hope begins to shine brightly in the darkness, a testament to their unyielding spirit. Quiapo, a city that never sleeps, is alive with a new kind of chaos, the chaos of a revolution brewing, but it's also alive with courage. Every prayer whispered in the quiet corners of the city adds to a growing wave of resolve. This isn't just a physical fight, it's a spiritual one. The battle has begun, not with weapons, but with unity. Fear is being replaced by determination. Despair is giving way to a powerful, unshakable hope. The deep, resonant sound of church bells echoes, a somber yet hopeful call before fading into the background, signaling the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. The music swells, carrying us over the city. Our view pans across the bustling streets of Quiapo, but we see it differently now. We see children, their small hands clutching candles, their innocent faces reflecting a quiet gravity. We see street vendors pausing their work, their eyes turned towards the church, a shared sense of purpose connecting them all. A quiet, profound determination settles over the entire city like a blanket. This isn't the loud, angry roar of a mob. It's the silent, unyielding resolve of a people who have found their voice. We realize that Tanggol is no longer alone. His allies are everywhere, in the markets, in the homes, on the streets. They are the heart of Quiapo. The clock is ticking for the Guerreros. Their reign of terror, built on fear and intimidation, is crumbling. Why? Because the people are no longer afraid. They have found something stronger than fear, each other. This is the story of Quiapo, a story of how the smallest flames of hope, when brought together, can create a fire that cleanses and transforms everything. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores the power of the human spirit. Until ne está inspiré. The air on the streets was so thick with tension you could almost taste it. Vendors, who usually called out their wares with cheerful voices, now just peeked from behind their stalls, their eyes wide and watchful. The lanterns that lined the alleyways, meant to bring light and warmth, now seemed to sway nervously with every single footstep, casting long at ghosts. But amidst the fear, something else was growing. You could hear it in the whispers passed from one person to another, quiet strategies being shared, plans being formed. Courage was blooming, not in grand speeches, but in these small, secret gesture, a shared glance, firm nod, a hand clasped in solidarity. It was a silent promise that no one was alone in this. Suddenly, a brilliant streak of red shot up into the dark sky. A signal flare, the call to gather. From every corner of the city, they came. Allies converged without a sound, their figures melting into the shadows of the alleyways, becoming one with the night. It was like watching a river form from 100 tiny streams. Marites moved through the growing crowd, her presence a calming balm on frayed nerves. Her voice was low but steady, a lifeline in the sea of uncertainty. "Stay calm," she'd say, looking each person in the eye. "Focus. Remember why we're here. Every single action counts tonight." Her words were simple, but they carried the weight of their shared purpose. Tanggol stood on a slightly raised platform, scanning the faces before him. The crowd was a tapestry of human emotion. He saw fear, yes, etched in the tight lines around their mouths and the quick, darting movements of their eyes. But he also saw hope, a powerful, defiant light shining in their gazes. And above all, he saw determination, a rock-solid resolve that had settled deep in their bones. These weren't just faces in a crowd. Each one told a story of hardship, of injustice, of a dream for something better. Looking at them, at the incredible mix of fear and fire, Tanggol knew, with a certainty that settled in his very soul, that they could not fail. Failure simply wasn't an option. Then, a voice cut through the murmuring. It was Mario, his tone firm and decisive. "We'll coordinate from Luneta," he announced, his words echoing in the sudden silence. "That's where we begin our march to City Hall." The name of the landmark hung in the air, a symbol of their goal. The anticipation in the crowd instantly ratcheted up a notch. It was no longer just whispers and plans, it was real. It was happening. You could feel the collective intake of breath as everyone held on, waiting, poised for the next command. Ready for the first step of a journey that would change everything, the quiet before the storm. Just then, the sound of distant shouts ripped through the night. Guerreros! The word was a shock of cold water. Panic flared for a moment. People scattered, ducking back into the shadows they had just emerged from, but the fear didn't take root. It was pushed down by that stronger, deeper emotion, courage. The crowd didn't break, they just shifted, adapting. Marites' whisper seemed to reach every ear, a guiding star in the sudden chaos. "This is our moment," she said, her voice filled with an unshakable belief. "Hold fast. Stay true to our cause, even if the odds are stacked 1,000 to 1 against us." Her words, encore et thème. The night was just beginning, and their resolve was unbreakable. Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time. The air at Luneta was electric, thick with a mix of anticipation and unwavering resolve. A vast sea of faces stretched across the park, each one a testament to the spirit of Quiapo. As twilight descended, the flickering flames of countless candles began too, the landscape. Their warm glow dancing with the swaying lanterns caught in the gentle evening breeze. It was a beautiful, almost serene sight, yet beneath it all, a powerful current of determination flowed. Children, their small hands enveloped in the protective grasp of their parents, looked on with wide, hopeful eyes, mirroring the quiet courage etched on every adult's face. They knew, we all knew, that the Guerreros' forces were drawing near, their shadow looming over our gathering. But we were not afraid. We were prepared. Our strategy was one of unity and cleverness. Blending seamlessly into the vibrant chaos of a supposed festival, our allies moved with purpose. They used the deepening shadows as their cloak, becoming one with the environment, their presence felt but not easily seen. It was a silent ballet of resistance, a network of brave souls ready to defend their home. The festive music played on, a strange but fitting soundtrack to our quiet rebellion, masking the tension that simmered just below the surface. Every person there was a piece of the puzzle, a vital part of the living, breathing defense we had constructed. We weren't just a crowd. We were a community poised for action, a silent army hiding in plain sight. Then, a figure emerged from the heart of the assembly, and a hush fell over the crowd. It was Tanggol. He stepped forward, his posture straight, his gaze sweeping across the thousands gathered before him. Was no order in his voice, only a steady, commanding tone that through the night air. Today, he began, his voice resonating with a power that came not from volume, but from conviction. We stand united. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. Not as individuals, but as one. For our families, for justice, for Quiapo. A collective murmur rippled through the crowd, a sound of agreement, of shared purpose. It was a promise, a pledge made in the heart of our city. The response was immediate and profound. From every corner of the park, voices rose in a hushed but firm chorus, echoing Tanggol's sentiment. It wasn't a roar, but a deep, resonant hum of solidarity. In that moment, changeable, it was like a wave, slowly building its strength, gathering momentum from every single person present. You could feel it in the air. A palpable force ready to crash down upon the shores of tyranny and wash away the injustices we had endured for so long. We were no longer just a collection of people. We had become a single, unified entity, our individual fears melting away into a shared reservoir of strength. Every hand that found another, every shared glance of understanding, added to the growing power of our collective will. As the wave of courage crested, a gentle hand rested on Tanggol's shoulder. It was Marites, her eyes reflecting the same fire that burned in his. She stood beside him, a pillar of strength and support, her presence a comforting reassurance to everyone who saw her. Surely Nadine, her voice soft but cloud, and her words became anchor for us all. We will protect each other, she said, her gaze meeting Tanggol's. Together, no force can break us. Her simple declaration was the final piece, the keystone locking our resolve into an unbreakable arch. It was a promise not just to him, but to everyone gathered. We would be each other's shields, each other's strength. The night was dark, and the threat was real, but in that shared moment of unity, we found our light. We were ready. For Quiapo, for our future, we would stand together, unyielding and unbroken. The march began, a river of people flowing through the darkened streets. Lanterns bobbed like fireflies, casting a warm, defiant glow on faces filled with purpose. Each step was a quiet drumbeat, a steady rhythm of resolve carrying them toward the cold stone of City Hall, from the shadowed rooftops and distant alleyways. The Guerreros watched, their faces etched with a mix of disdain and surprise. They had always relied on fear, on division, but they had grossly underestimated the power of a people united. They saw a scattered crowd. They failed to see a community forged in struggle. With every report of a captured friend, a detained neighbor, the crowd didn't shrink. It swelled. Anger and grief were not poisons but fuel. Each name whispered through the ranks became a banner, a rallying cry that echoed louder than any threat. The void left by the fallen was filled instantly by 10 more who stepped forward. Their shoulders squared, their voices rising to fill the silence. This was no longer just a protest. It was a reclamation. They were taking back their streets, their city, their future, one determined step at a time. And somewhere within that sea of humanity, Tindang moved like a ghost. Unseen, unheard, she was the quiet heart of the movement. Her own journey, her own resilience, was a story that pulsed through the crowd. An unspoken legend that gave strength to those who didn't even know her name. It was the knowledge that someone like her, someone who had endured so much, was still fighting, still walking beside them. Her courage was a silent contagion, spreading from one person to the next, a quiet confidence that settled in their bones. The air grew thick with a palpable tension. Every shadow seemed to hold a threat. Every distant siren felt like a prelude to chaos. Would they make it? Would the cold walls of City Hall welcome them with silence, or would the night erupt in violence? Each footstep was deliberate, measured, a careful dance on a knife's edge. Breaths were held, knuckles were white. The silence was heavy, a coiled spring of anticipation. You could feel the city holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable clash or the dawn of a new day. Suddenly, a surge of energy rippled through the mass of people. It wasn't a command, not a signal, but a shared, unspoken decision. The pace quickened. The steady walk became a determined surge forward, a human tide that could no longer be held back. It was in the small things, the countless acts of anonymous bravery. An arm linking with a stranger's, a shared water bottle passed down the line, a reassuring smile exchanged in the flickering lantern light. These were the sparks that ignited the flame, and then a voice, clear and steady, cut through the nervous quiet. It was Marites, her face illuminated for a moment by a passing light. "Hold the line," she whispered, the words carrying with impossible strength. "Protect one another. courage is contagious. On dit toi? Her words spread like wildfire, repeated per person fear-old Zéline. Protect one another. In that moment, individuals. They were a single, unbreakable entity. A shield wall of hope and defiance, marching toward their destiny. The night was far from over, but they would face it together. Thank you for joining this story. If you're moved by the power of unity and courage, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content that explores the strength of the human spirit. Your support helps us tell these important stories. See you next time. Ever wonder what makes a TV show finale truly unforgettable? It's not just about the big explosions or the shocking twists. It's about moments like this, moments that give you chills, that make you feel like you're right there with the characters, fighting alongside them. Today, we read diving deep into one of the most powerful season finales we've seen in a long time, the epic conclusion to the Quiapo saga. The character arcs, and the masterful storytelling that made it all work. So grab your popcorn, maybe a box of tissues, and get ready to relive the moment Quiapo stood up and fought back. Let's set the stage. The entire season has been building to this. The Guerreros, a family synonymous with corruption and fear, have ruled the city with an iron fist. The people of Quiapo, led by the show's heart and soul, Tanggol, have had enough. This isn't just a protest. It's a reckoning. When Tanggol raises his hand and a hush falls over that massive crowd, you can feel the shift. The fear that has paralyzed the city for so long is finally starting to crack. Every single eye is on him, not just the people in the crowd, but us, the viewers, all holding our breath. And then Tanggol speaks. Today, we demand justice. Today, we reclaim our city. It's simple, direct, and incredibly powerful. These aren't just words. They're a declaration of war, a promise to the memory of those they've lost, like Tindeng. The showrunners did something brilliant here. They didn't have him give a long, complicated speech. The director of photography deserves an award for this shot alone. Each flame is a tiny point of light. It swells and grums this unified unstoppable force. You can hear speakers. The show brilliantly contrasts this with the reaction of the Guerreros' forces. The camera cuts to their faces, and for the first time, we don't see arrogance or cruelty. We see doubt. We see hesitation. They're looking at this sea of ordinary citizens, market vendors, students, grandparents, and they realizing that their guns and their armor might not be enough to stop this tide of humanity. This is the moment the power dynamic truly flips. And let's talk about the character moments woven into this epic scene. You have Marites, a character who has been through so much, whispering a final prayer. For Tindeng, for our families, for Quiapo. This grounds the massive scale of the protest in something deeply personal and emotional. It reminds us of the individual stakes, the human cost of the Guerreros' reign. It's a prayer for the past, the present, and the future. For the loved one they lost, families they are protecting, and the city they're fighting to reclaim. This line is the emotional core of the entire finale, and it hits you right in the gut. It's the quiet resolve that fuels the roaring fire of the revolution. Then the climax. The people erupt. It's not a sound of anger, but of courage. It's a roar that says, "We are no longer afraid." The editing quickens. The music swells. And you see flashes of all our heroes, all our allies, all the familiar faces from the season standing together. The city itself feels like it's breathing again, alive with this newfound spirit. The final shots are a masterclass in building anticipation. The fight isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. But the message is clear. They are ready. United, fearless, and unstoppable. And as the church bells toll and the screen fades to black, you're left breathless, not with a cliffhanger, but with a profound sense of hope and an unbearable need for the next season to start right now. What an incredible way to end the chapter. This wasn't just a season finale. It was a statement. Thank you so much for joining this breakdown. What was your favorite part of this scene? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the shows you love. See you next time